From the Oakland Hills to Jack London Square, from the port to the Coliseum, this is Talk of the Town, an in-depth conversation about the people and issues important to Oakland.
Hello, I'm Dave Clark. Welcome to Talk of the Town. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm glad to see you. The topic today is one I really look forward to talking about, and my guests, I'm glad that they're here. I'm talking about music in Oakland and music education. My guests, two very special people. This is Simon Russell, and this is Simon's beautiful daughter, Jules. I'm glad that you're here, and not only, I have to say this, Simon, you're one of the best performers, and I'm not just saying it because you're here, that I have enjoyed since the first time I saw you as a singer, as an instrumentalist of so many different things. Well, one of the things you like to do is to teach the young people in Oakland about music, and a school was created as a result. So first of all, I'm glad that you and Jules are here. And Jules is a great singer, but we'll talk about that too. But tell me about the school, why you love creating and developing talent, and what it is you do.
Well, thank you for bringing us on here. It's just an honor to be here. The company is called Clefology. I've had actually two previous companies that I opened up. It was Notes, which is still there, very proud of it, Notes Music Academy, and then we had a Notes for Change. Feel free to donate. It's a great company. But during COVID, I had to walk away. But I have a new company called Clefology, and we dedicate our company to our services on actually getting music after school. There's about a 3-hour period where kids are out of school and they have nothing to do, and we provide music education. And so I vet all of the teachers. We spend some time really making sure that the teachers fit the school and their protocols and their ways of life, and so it's been wonderful to be part of that. I've been playing music for a long time, so I know what music does for children, and it helps them with their math skills. It's just a whole slew of different things that music does, and it's kind of been taken out of the schools lately. There's a lot of schools that are just going for pure academics, not realizing that art is so important in the process. There's not all children are going to be mathematicians, right? So we need to be able to have that dimension there for these great children.
So how do you reach the children? And part of what I want to do here is let people know that you, Clefology and Notes, is available here in Oakland. How do you reach them?
Well, it's a lot of hitting the pavement. It's a lot of hitting the pavement. We have to go into the schools. We email the schools. We say, is this something you might be interested in? What we're hoping to do, and hopefully on this program, is encouraging the parents to reach out to their schools and say, we would love to see music in our after-school program. So that's what, the goal is. It's kind of a group effort, a community effort. But that's what we mainly do. We actually will go to the schools, we present our package, we present, the benefits of these programs, and hopefully, bring up more people on board.
So Jules, you're a great singer. I've enjoyed your singing, live singing in front of big crowds, and you're really good and you're composed. What is it you like about music?
What I like about it is I get to share what I love about music to everybody who's watching, and I love music because it's just it's like my heart.
Was it always that way?
Yeah, I've been singing since I was little, and I've always loved it.
Now, see, that's when she was little. Now, Jules is about to turn 10.
Yes.
And I've seen you perform. Did you see something in Jules early on?
It was actually a surprise.
Really?
Because, all my children, I have 3 children. They all grew up coming to my gigs. They, not fond memories for my older kids because I was always traveling. But with my daughter, she was probably about 6 years old, I think, and she goes, I want to sing, and I work with Juan Escovedo.
Yes.
And so she surprised us, and I think, did we do? I can't remember. I think it was Alicia Keys' song, and she just tore it up, and I couldn't believe she could hit these notes.
She could.
And yeah, I mean, and then the soulfulness and the timing. What I noticed about her, she has this. There's a lot of people. It's like an instinctual timing where she builds the song and builds the melody, and then does the climax. Like she understands the musical. It's boggling. It really is boggling. So she's just getting better and better and better, and I just want to support her. I just want her to. I want it to be fun. I want it to be engaging, and I don't want to. I'm not going to be like one of those. Soccer.
You're allowed.
Yeah,
you're allowed. You're dad. Yeah.
But I know for me, my parents would throw me in front of the relatives like every time we come. Hey, sing, and it just I didn't want to do it anymore. So I just I have the luxury of like experience what it is to be a young singer. So I just it's just do your thing. You're an artist, and be you.
That sounds good, doesn't it, Jules?
Yeah.
Yeah. And quickly, before we go to a break, you do many things in music.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a tremendous, your voice is incredible.
Thank you.
And I've seen it high, I've seen it gravelly that you could get in, but keyboards and how many instruments?
Well, I play piano and I sing and I've dabbled in other instruments, but what I focus in on is just trying to perfect my expression, right? So I'm not competing with anyone else. There's far better keyboardists out there, but when you get into, just like anything you do, it's about expressing yourself and being, getting deep into, if I have a sad emotion, I want to be able to get it right out in the instrument right away. So I focus more on that than the technique at this point.
Interesting. And what's your favorite genre of music?
I love neo soul, jazz, of course. I grew up listening to tons of folk music, which was kind of strange.
Oh, really?
Yeah, lots of folk. Kate Wolf and all of these old singers, Joni Mitchell. So I just listen to all of this music, and I love the lyrics. And so when I write lyrics, I really map it on that kind of genre, like where there's real story, beginnings and endings. So I just try to delve into those different things. But it just kind of came, just like I was seeing in her. Yeah, it was just in me, and I've just been developing it.
So Jules, when your friends hear you sing, how do they react?
Well, normally they're really calm. They're like, "You sound really good." Like. But they always supported me in my singing.
And do you try to help them? Do you encourage them to sing or perform, or don't you?
I do.
You do?
Because my friends, they sound really good, and I'm just like, you should sing.
Absolutely, yeah.
You've got it. And your family, I'm going to get more into Oakland and the reaction of Oakland to your performing and what I've been able to see, but we'll talk about that. But in fact, we'll do it. We'll take a break. We'll come back and do that. We're talking with Simon Russell, his beautiful daughter, Jules, and we'll be right back right here on Talk of the Town. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm Dave Clark. Thank you for joining us. I'm with Simon Russell, his beautiful daughter, talented daughter, Jules. Both are talents in music, talents in Oakland. And where are you from? And how did Oakland become a part of your life?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll make it short.
Take your time.
I was born in Hempstead, Long Island. And
East Coast.
Yes, East Coast.
Yeah.
And my mother, my grandmother, ended up moving to Indonesia to follow kind of a religious leader.
Interesting.
And so when it didn't work out with my biological father, we moved to Indonesia, and lived there for close to a year. as they were there, my stepdad was coming around, I guess, trying to find himself after college, and landed there in Jakarta. And then my parents met and married 2 weeks later.
Wow.
And he brought us back to the States. So that's how we got back here. And we were in Cloverdale. We grew up in all these different areas. And then we migrated over here. He was actually a news reporter himself.
Really?
Yeah, he was a reporter for the Sebastopol Times.
Okay.
So it's interesting that we were here. But so we ended up over there, and I met some of the musicians here. Raphael Grenage, who was the upright bass player for Earl Father Hines. Phenomenal mentor for me.
Really?
And showed me, he was, very, very tough, but showed me about never wasting a note. Every note had
Never
purpose.
waste a note.
Never waste a note. Everything that you say, you'd always say something. And we'd have these sessions where he'd just pull out the bass.
Right.
And we're on our keyboard. His son was on guitar. His name was Marzuki Grenage, a great guitar player. And he would say, play. And we start playing. No, play.
Really
and
play.
We play.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
Yeah.
No. And we're just sitting there. But eventually I started figuring out it's like finding pockets, finding areas where I can fit in and add to what he was doing. And also understanding what the other person's doing. And it was like this conversation that we were having. But it took me years, now I know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's like, so every time as soon as you hit that note, you're trying to
say something.
So
how do you transmit that to young people like Jules?
Well, fortunately, Jules has it.
Yeah,
she understands it. But, we do teach, first of all, we have to learn the fundamentals, right, of music. But you recognize it in certain children. Certain children just have a certain gift, and they're speaking from their souls, and others you have to kind of guide them, and it's all about being in the now, being in the present.
Yeah.
Like anything, I'm sure this job you have to be in the present. You can't be
all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a very focused, very and somewhat spiritual, and it's mental, everything, But we just try to impart that upon the children and say, be in this. One of the great things we would do is I might say, how would an orange sound on the piano?
Now that's interesting.
How do you do it? How would I paint an orange? How would I say a smashed orange how would I say a majestic night? How would you play that? So I'm trying to create imagery.
That's going to bother me all day.
But everyone's is different.
Yeah, right.
So I may have an intention. You may hear it completely different, but I still have to have an intention, right? So this is what my mentor taught us about, is playing with purpose, trying to paint something, paint an image for the people to see. They may see it, whoever they're going to see it, but they got to feel something. So it's really deep. It's really deep stuff.
Yeah, that is deep. So let's talk about the classes that you have that Jules might go to. Do you want to have a lot of young people in one class, or is it easier to work with maybe one or two at a time?
I just think it's just great across the board.
Yeah.
Having music in any classroom in any setting is just going to be positive. It teaches us to be about camaraderie.
Yeah.
It teaches us about working, obviously, as a team, working together, problem solving. We have all these different personalities. We have to learn to work together as a unit. Especially, I work with Piedmont Elementary.
Yeah.
I have a choir there. I work with second graders, fourth and fifth graders, and they all have their issues, and they got to work together.
Yeah.
For a common goal. So it teaches. There's so many great lessons in it in itself.
Interesting. The discipline.
Yeah.
Jules, do you like working with other kids, or do you prefer to be, I'm solo, I'm Jules?
Well, I like to go solo most of the time.
Yeah.
But I also like to work with other kids too. It's like both.
Okay.
And I like working together with other kids, but I also like to work by myself.
That's understood. That's understood. Simon, you sing so good, and I wish you could see Simon and Jules, but you sing so good. Do you prefer singing as opposed to the keyboards and anything else you can do?
They're one and the same for me. I feel very strange singing without playing the piano. It's kind of like
I haven't seen you just without the keyboard.
I have something to do with my hand.
Yeah.
So if you'll notice, a lot of singers, the great singers like Rihanna, they know what they're doing with their hands. I don't know what to do with my hands, so I got something to do.
Right.
So they kind of come together. My voice, I've had this deep voice since I was probably 16, but everyone you come and see me would say, you sound like an old black man, right? And I was just young, right? And so now I'm an OG now. I've grown into it,
I didn't say that, Simon.
But yeah, that's Yeah. So it was one of those things where I had to grow into my voice.
Interesting.
Yeah, look to you.
I want to focus. What more do you see ahead for music in Oakland that you don't see right now?
Well, we have some great programs out there. I used to work for the Oakland Symphony, and they have one called the Muse program. And there's a bunch of great programs out there. But I think we need more programs that stress the love of jazz and blues and some of our, some of the, staple sounds that we've had, that, especially for it being in a huge African American community. Our music needs to be stressed and learned more, and we need to learn more about our history. So I think if I had my way, I would see it more in the curriculum, seeing more of
mandatory or
mandatory. I think it just needs to be happening.
Really?
Well, our history is kind of been, we won't go into too political, but we need to know, all kids should know about the history of jazz from New Orleans all the way. We all need to know about that. It's American history. It's part of the fabric of what this country is based on. All of the music that we hear now, rap, all of it came from this. And for some reason, blues is not a style that a lot of people really focus in on. It's kind of been left to the wayside, but it's such an important part of history, in my opinion. So it's all in my music. Blues is always in my music. Everything that I do has got to have blues in it. It's just the DNA.
It's DNA.
It's the DNA.
And it's your job to do it.
Right.
That's why you're here.
Exactly.
And you do it well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, just relax. We're going to take another break in a minute or so. In fact, we'll take a break now. We'll be back right here on Talk of the Town.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm Dave Clark. Thank you for joining me. And I'm back with, this is Jules. Jules goes first this time.
Okay. Hey.
And this is Simon. Jules Russell and Simon Russell, thank you for being here. We had veered off, just talking off camera about the racial mix-up, mixture of not only students, young people, and why it's important. And the point that it makes, who's involved racially. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think we don't have a lot of great role models in place.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, Muhammad Ali, I had Martin Luther King, Gandhi. There was people that Mother Teresa these are people that I admired and wanted to emulate. And so I wonder who we have now, in this present day.
Yeah.
But when you see a teacher come in and they move someone, teach them the fundamentals of music or history, there's something really powerful about that.
Yeah.
I would have to say, I work in schools all over the Bay. We all need to go and hug our teachers. They are incredible. You know, I didn't grow up with sports in my household, but I would say if anyone deserves millions of dollars, it would be our teachers.
Our teachers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They deal with, I watch them every day. They're dealing with kids who have all kinds of different issues.
Yeah.
Maybe they're malnourished, they're not getting enough meals, there's stuff going on at home. They're dealing with all of this. And there's 20 of these kids, 24 kids in the class, and they're dealing with them from morning to night.
All day.
All day.
Yeah.
And so we know some of our kids are off the hook.
Yeah,
Let's just be real.
right. Yeah, that's
Some
real.
of our kids, let's be real.
Yeah.
So they deserve the world. They're incredible. So I am so proud to be able to work with these communities of teachers. And it's really powerful if you see someone that looks like you.
Yeah.
And then it's even also powerful for someone to see someone that doesn't look like you.
That's important too.
And to learn about the respect of other cultures, other backgrounds. It's so powerful. We don't want to grow up feeling entitled. We want to grow up knowing that there are so many beautiful cultures and they all have value. And so I think through the teaching and the education, it's the best way to do this.
Tell me how you have instructors that you work with.
Yes.
How do you pick them and what do they look like? What's their background?
We have people of all different backgrounds, but the prerequisite for me is you have to be passionate about what you do. Obviously, you have to be capable. And,
right.
But in my company, I don't condone that abusive, kind of teaching that you see, the corporal punishment kind of thing.
Right.
It's, can you instill passion in your student, give them something that they want to work up to, and bring them to that next level? And that's what so I ask them I say, if this is going to happen, you will not be here. You got to come in here and respect the parents and the students. They need to know that they're loved and they're fostered, So I look for that in teachers. I look for passion. I look for, I hope they're not nutty,
right.
You want them to be, that's what I look for.
So Jules, let me ask you, your dad has got a great spirit. He's a good man. And I know he's worked with you a lot, and what do you like about his style? Now just tell me, you don't have to worry about talking in front of him. But is he easy to learn from?
Yeah.
And tell me about that.
So, like when he teaches me to play like the piano and stuff, he makes it really easy for me.
Now, does he put hand over hand or just tells you what to do? How does he do that?
So he would do hand over hand, and I would learn, and he makes it really easy for me.
That's important. That's important. Just the way you're supposed to do it, Simon.
Well, the old way, before we had written form, in the blues, was that way.
Yeah.
You go in and your teacher would say, try this, and you try it. And so I really love that. There's a great professor that I worked with in my later career. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember his name now, but great professor. And he taught me this number system. Jazz players don't think in the means of notes as much as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and 7. Yeah, as they have the C, D, A, C, D, E, F, G. But we think in numbers. Everything is in numbers. If we need to go to a 5 chord, we go to a 5 chord. So I've been teaching a lot of my students about how jazz players think, and it's a lot easier to just conceptualize. It just is.
Interesting.
And it's in our bodies. We all remember numbers really easily.
Yeah.
So I won't go too deep into it because it's probably over most people's heads. But yeah, so I've been teaching her that, and she's been just picking it up so quickly.
Of course she is. She's great.
She just blows my mind.
What also blows the caliber of musicians you get to play with here in Oakland and perform. Yeah. Let's talk about some of them. You mentioned Juan Escovedo.
I think you were at that concert where I did. Were you at the concert I played with Pete Escovedo?
Pete Escovedo, yes. That's where I first saw you, with Pete.
That was surreal.
Yeah.
As is this experience right here.
Yeah.
But I've been friends with the family for a long time, a good 20-something years, and I've never once jammed them up and said, "Hey, can I be part of your situation?"
Yeah.
I just appreciated them from afar. And one day they surprised me, and Pito, his son, Peter Michael, called me and said, "Hey, we want you to come sing the song. We've all tried singing it. It doesn't sound great. We want you to do it."
And
Ain't
you
No Sunshine.
Yeah. Oh, you tore Ain't No Sunshine.
Oh my God,
you tore it up.
You know, it was such an incredible experience because I don't know if you know much about Peter Michael, but he's a complete genius.
He really is.
He's a genius. Anything he does, he can kill it.
We're going to save that because I'm going to have Pete Escobedo here as well. But I want to thank you, Simon Russell, and the beautiful Jules Russell. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, brother.
You're doing great things in Oakland. I'm Dave Clark. I'll see you next time on Talk of the Town.